Alright, welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we got a lute system on screen here, so like we can play some notes, which is sweet, but we want to add a animation to this so it looks like the strings are being plucked. And we made that animation yesterday. Let's see if we can pull it up. It should be this. Yeah, so we've got this. So today is going to be making this play instead of the stable line. So we'll be figuring that out. There's a bunch of stuff. Right now we're doing some animation based on the entity class, but we don't need this string to be of type entity, so we might have to do another class for a lute string and then just load in all the quads for the animation and then toggle it through that class rather than the entity class. So we did export a string sheet. Hey, thank you for the raid. I never know how to pronounce RNPNR, but thank you for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. This is our sprite sheet for the string here. We're working on getting our lute mechanic animating. So right now we can toggle our lute and then we've got notes playing, but we want to toggle it for the animation, right? So we've got a little animation here that we want to trigger every time we play a note. So we'll be trying to figure that out today. I don't think it'll be that tough, but we have a weird way of doing animations currently. So we'll have to modify it a bit. So if we take a look at how we're rendering current animations, we've got the ability to change an animation, right, where we pass in a name and then we set its current animation to that animation name. But there's only one animation for this string, and there's a non-played state or whatever. So like there's a stable string and then a string that has just been plucked. So if we look at what we're doing with our animations here, we run this create animations function and store it in the .animations. And then this create animations function just has a table. It cycles through all the animations, and this is the important part here. It makes an animation instantiation. So if we go to what this animation class is, it's frames interval, a texture, a looping status, a timer, a current frame, times played, and the animation basically loops based on the timer. So it'll loop back to the current frame, and it basically just assigns the current frame to be updating over time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 if there's 3. And then we have a get current frame, which will give us whatever the current frame is at the animation in time. So as long as we update our animation with delta time, it should spit out a current frame of the next animation. So we need to do something. We need to populate an animation object for our string and then toggle the animation to start once we press the string. So we would need to only do it once, so it wouldn't be looping, but we would change the animation to become the plucked state or whatever only once, and then I guess only when the button is pressed for the appropriate string do we animate it. So if we look at how we're doing this, we pull in a def.animations and we run create animations on that, which we're doing here in our entity defs. This is how we're pulling in the animations. So we have a key of player and we're saying that player's dot animations table gets a couple different animations. So we don't have this many animations, but we do need to pull in our quad. We need to make our quad, and then we need to pull in our quad as the texture. So if we look, we're using character walk texture for walk left. Oh, nice. Yeah, we're using a library for classes. I don't know how that library works, but that's just what I've been learning with. So it definitely is cool. I'm still very much a beginner though, so I'm still kind of feeling my way out. We should have the quads pulled into the dependencies. So the quad that we're getting. See, and how are we doing the G frames here? So it's like we have a texture that we save, and that's the atlas. And then we run the generate quads on that atlas with the correct sprite size. So this will be our first quad that is not a tile size by tile size quad. But I don't see how we're pulling in the G frame texture basically. I guess in our animation class it's probably doing something with that. Let's see. We should have we should be pulling in the quad or something here. We do take in the texture, but we don't take in the quad. So that's kind of what's confusing me here. So how are we pulling in? How are we knowing which texture? Let's look at our def for the texture here and then see what we're passing it. Yeah, it's just the it's just a texture. So this is a little confusing to me. How does it know we want the texture? Like, how is it able to pull the character walk texture? It is a global object. But I don't see how it knows a texture. You know, how does it know that it's not a G frame, but it's a G texture here? I don't get that. Because we're not saying G textures at index character walk, which would make more sense to me. So I'm not exactly sure how it's knowing what we're doing there. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if we can go to our animation, no, our entity defs, and we'll see if we can go to the definition of this. No, we cannot. Okay. So somehow it's pulling in our global texture, even though we're not indexing the global textures table. I really don't get how that's working. Because look, we have a texture flame and a texture gecko, and if we look at our dependencies here, we have a flame and a gecko as a G frame as well as a G texture. So I don't get how it's pulling that in. Okay, like when we draw it, we use the texture. That makes sense. But then I just don't get how our animation class knows where to pull this texture from. But let's just start digging around and try to do it. We'll make a new class called lute string. So we'll do lute string.lua. And we need a class here, so we'll say that our lute string gets a class. And we need a couple of functions for it. And we'll have an init. And we'll have a update that takes in delta time, and then we'll have a render. So every lute string, there'll be 4 on screen. So we can, you know, we're gonna have to choose where to render them depending on which string they are. So we might have to require an extra parameter of which string number it is or whatever. So string, you know, if it's a string number 1, we render it at the top so far, or, you know, etc. And then I guess here is where we would give it the texture or the animation instantiation. I guess so. So maybe we can say well, first of all, let's give us the quad. Let's export it so we have it here. So we will import it here into our global textures as well as our G-frames. So the texture is like the atlas, and then the G-frames is the quad. So we'll call this lute string singular, and we'll assign it to our image that we exported yesterday, which is the whole sheet. So it's in graphics, and I think it's in lute. We'll have to check. No, it's just in graphics, and it's called string sheet. Okay. So just in graphics, and it's called string tag sheet PNG. Oh lordy. Okay. So we give ourselves the lute string. Then we need to split it up into quads. So we will run our generate quads, and it takes in a texture. So we will give it the texture we just made at the index lute string singular. And then we need a width and a height for the quad, which the width is going to be 160 because, well, and we can put tile size times 10. That'll be 160. And then we need a height, which I'm forgetting at the moment. It's like 6 or something. $13. Wait. Why is this 120? 1120. Oh. Okay, yeah. 1120 is all 6 frames of it. Is it 6 frames or 7? 7 frames of it. Okay, so that's why, but the quad itself is only a 160 wide. So 160 times 7 should be this 1120 by 13 high. So now we should have a lute string quad. Let's see if we can't figure out how to put, just for testing, we can say self.image gets a G frames. And can we, crap, I don't know if we can even do this. Can we say G frames? Oh, we have to go into the lute string. Nope. Lute string like this. And we'll say, I don't know, how do we pull just 1 frame? But I'm kind of curious. Let's make sure we require this lute string so that we can use it in our other files. So we'll require it up here. Oh no, we don't have to require it. Oh yeah, the class we do, yeah. So the class is just in source, I guess. So we can put it right here. Okay. And then I didn't even check if I started recording for YouTube, but I did. Okay. The only thing I don't get is how it knows what texture to pull it from. Yeah. So now our G frames should be a quad list of it. If we look at our generate quads function, it returns a sprite sheet. So it goes sprite sheet at a sheet counter. So yeah, we should be able to index into our quads and get each one. So let's go back to our lute string class. And we're getting our G frames here. So let's just try to render this out. So let's do a love.graphics.draw. And if we look at how we did this in the other one, I think we actually do the textures. We have to pull the texture and then the quad. So we say lute string, which it has access to, and then the quad, which we can do self.image. But I don't know if we have to index further than that. Let's see how we pull it off with our other class here. So like for our entity class, where is it? We're looking for a G texture render. That's the one we just did. G texture. Okay, so yeah, we give it. Okay, so yeah, we do a double index here. G frame at the same texture. That tracks, and then at another index of the current frame. So we should be able to index into at least a stable frame to at least get a lute string rendering. So we can say that the quad is this self.image at whatever frame we want, and then at an X and Y, we'll just put it at 0, 0, I guess, just so we can see it. And then for right now, we'll go into our play state, and we'll try to just draw it right here in our play state. So if we're in the lute toggle, then we're gonna draw our drawable. Actually, yeah, we can't do this because we have to give ourselves the instantiation of the lute string, and then we should be able to draw it. So actually, no, we should, well, shoot, man. Yeah, because we're looking to call, or what we're really trying to do is call, like, if we have like a self.lute string in here, lute string 1 or something, and it's a lute string object, then we just want to call render on that bad boy. But we need this lute string 1. So we can say, this is just for me to try to get the lute string on screen, and then we'll worry about animating it. And we're rendering a rectangle, a love.graphics rectangle as the lute string right now, but we do want to render the actual image that we're passing in, because that's the frames that end up getting animated. So we're going to say that this gets a lute string, and we're going to omit our string number here for now. So what we're hoping is that we get a lute string at 1, 1, but we are failing at play state 15, so lute string, and we should have lute string init. Okay, and then yeah, our dependencies has the lute string, so we might have not saved it, properly, but let's see. Source / lute string. That should be where it is. We're in source, and our lute string is right here. So we should have it. Let me see if we toggle this off, if that helps us any with crashing. No. It thinks... I don't know why Windows keeps doing this. Okay, so we got... Oh, let's... Okay, I get it. We have a local lute string, so instead of self lute string, we're just going to say lute string render. Okay. Son of a bitch. We should have access to this lute string. Okay, we're calling this like a function, but we want to... Is this how we do it? Whenever we invoke a animation class, we do what? See, and this is actually, yeah, this is different. Because look, we define it in these curly braces here. But here we're calling it like it's a function. But I feel like I'm missing something. We should be able to... Do we have no other classes that we just call without defining this like table syntax? Entity, player, yeah, we do. Shoot. Anim spitter, maybe? Yeah, see, okay. So yeah, we are doing it like a function where we just call it, and it's we assign it into a variable just like we are here. Let's try to take off the localness of it and see if it still is mad, because we're calling render on the lute string, which is here, which is here, which we're rendering something, and we crash at 15 global lute string, a nil value. So for whatever reason, our dependencies isn't catching source lute string. That should be it. Let me see if I pull this just to try to fix this. If we say require lute string here and then lute string class right here, does it still crash? Okay, now we don't have a G-frames. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't know why we can't. It might have to do with the order of operations, how we're exporting this, but like, we should... Let's make sure our G-frames, or G-frames is legit. Lute string, lute string. So let's just try to... do this, and then we'll just give it the... Oh yeah, we don't have a frame for this. Well, the quad, I think the quad handles splitting it up, but no, it is not. Okay. You know what, let me see if I can turn off, because ever since we put on console debugging, I get those errors in the terminal. So I think it's actually in our conf.lua. Yeah, let's turn this off, or at least... Okay. So let's try something new, because this is clearly not working. we need to let's try to save it in an animation here. So we will define it like we do all our other animations, and we'll call it animation gets, and then we'll do the animation class animation, and then we will try to populate it here. And then that should give us the frame, which should have a current frame to it. So let's see how we pull that off elsewhere. Because we don't need this create animations is for each different set of animations we have, and we only have one animation for our string. So we should be able to omit this loop and just populate this stuff based on this lute animation. So the texture is going to be the G texture for our lute string. The frames are going to be a table of how many frames there are. So it's going to look like 1 through 7. And then the interval is going to be a set time to loop those things. I'm going to put 0.3 for now. So now our dot animation is an animation class that takes in a texture. Okay. So now let's see a little more about how we pulled this off earlier. So we have a create animations. What are we doing with that create animations? Well, we save it into the animations field right here. So we create the animations, which is what we're doing with our manual animation invocation. And we save it into the dot animations. So where do we use this dot animations here? We should, we do, dot animations. So we have a change animation to be whatever name of the animation, but we only have the one. So I don't think we'll need to do that. But we might need a reset animation to set our current frame back to 1 if we press the string more than once before it finishes animating. But then that's all we're doing in the entity. So we must be doing some other stuff to our dot animations for the render and everything. So let's just look for it. Wow, okay. What are we doing? We already cycled through them all. Okay, so I guess it just depends how we render. Let's take a look at our entity class and see how we render. We defer it to the state machine, so let's go look at our entity walk state, for example. So we get the current animation. Hey, Magnetonics, thank you for the raid, man. I hope you had a good stream. Hey, dude, always appreciate it. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I saw you go live, but I was out at the dinner with the old family, so I couldn't catch your stream, but I hope it was a good one. Good to see you too, Salto. That's cool. I like seeing your artist badge up here. Salto did the Sekiro art for the channel here in the background. But yeah, I always forget. I should have gave you guys a shout out. I'll go in order here. I'll give a shout out. I always forget that. But thank you for the raid, y'all. Yeah, dude, it looks cool. I'm just here stumbling through my own code, trying to get a string to render. It looks like this is the magic here, where we're saying we take our current animation, which our string only has one animation, so we should just be able to save our dot animation field into a local anim like this. And then when we render, we can render it in the lute string class, and we can put the anim get current frame. So the get current frame is from the animation class, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, it's part of the get current frame. So it's a method on the actual animation class that'll give us our current frame. So let's try to go into our lute string here, and we will do something similar here where we say the animation gets our, and we only have one animation, so we're just going to say the animation gets this local anim, and then we're going to go into our G frames at our, and then we go to our anim and we run our get current frame function, and then close our 2D array, I think. And right now we're just doing it at 0, 0, but ultimately we'll have to change which string we're rendering it at. Okay, G textures a nil value. So why can't, if we look in our dependencies, we actually export our global textures here. So our G textures should be a global table right here. So unless we spelled this wrong, string tac sheet.png. Did we do that right? Graphics / string sheet. Yeah, graphics string sheet.png. That should be it. String sheet PNG. Okay. And then it's graphics. Yep. New image. Yep. Okay. And you know what? Maybe this part is wrong. We need, no, that is right. 160 per quad on the width. That sounds right. But why is our class, we might be trying to do, we might have imported our string class before we declared it or something? Yeah, well, because like I think it's, well, no, we have our other stuff here. Because like our player walk state is pulling from the global textures here, so the textures being defined after shouldn't crash it. So why can we not render our G frame? I'm just gonna grab this, go back to our lute class, and just compare how we did it. So yeah, we're giving it the right texture, and then we give it the texture again. Yeah, we did it exactly the same, except, you know, we're not defining it by the anim.texture. So why don't we try to do that? Let's try to do that, because we're pulling the G texture lute string right there, but then we're drawing it. I don't think that should change anything, but I don't see why it's crashing. Yeah, G textures a nil value. G textures. Okay, why is that failing? Because every other class has a G textures on the init there, right? Well, not on that one, but the let's look at our entity class. We don't run this create animations, but that's only for multiple animations. So we pull it from a dot texture of our animations def. which is the value of every dot animations. Oh my gosh, because in our entity defs, our dot animations goes through here and it pulls in the texture. Okay, so this is what I was so confused about, because we're not saying G textures at index gecko. We literally just say gecko. I don't get how we can do that. But maybe our texture just needs to be lute string instead of G textures, and maybe it can work. No. Global animation is a nil texture. Why would you fail there now? Why would you fail a line sooner? Global animation a nil value. You couldn't do this. Yet, when we have G textures on, you crash at the next line. What the heck? What? Did more eliminating options than locking in? Hey, yeah, exactly. Everything you figure out you don't need is a step in the right direction. Okay, I'm kind of curious if we turn off... I really thought today was going to be simple. I should know that anytime I think it's going to be simple, it's not a easy process. I was like, oh, I did all the hard part yesterday. Now I just need to animate it. Because we have the animation, we just need it to be working. It doesn't like... What the heck, man? It doesn't like that we're using an animation class here inside this class. Let's look at our dependencies and make sure that our animation is before our lute class, which I believe it is. We have... where is our lute string even? We have animation here. Oh, we took... Okay. We should be able to take this lute string out of here. Where do we do it? In our play state. Yeah, we should be able to take this out and put it here. Yeah, now it... Yeah, what the heck? It doesn't like that we're trying to do this in the play state. So it doesn't like that we try to invoke one of these things here. Let me see. Take this out and we should at least run. Okay, so we've got... Let's just try to put it in our map and see if the order of operations is screwing us up there somewhere. So can we put a lute string here? No, but it's crashing. It's not crashing in the play state anymore. It's crashing in the actual lute string on the G texture value. Man, what is going on? Let me look where we require our dependencies. It's just, yeah, literally the first thing in main. We go in our dependencies. So we should have access to animation by the time we're in lute string. And I'm not spelling it wrong, right? Lute string. Let me double check that my lute string class is formed correctly. We have a class with curly braces. If we look at our lava system, we have a class with curly braces, and then in a init, update, and render. It's exactly what we're trying to do here. Yet, once we give it a texture, what the heck? I swear I didn't change anything. But, okay, if we turn on lute, we are not seeing our lute because we're not rendering it. Let's see if it's in our map. Why would the lute be allowed in the map class and not the play state is kind of what I'm confused about. But let's make a local lute string right here. And then we'll render it in our map. So we'll say graphics.draw, the drawable of lute string at index or at x0, y0. And then when we're in lute mode, okay, drawable, expected. that's because we have to just render it. Lute string is our actual object that we want to render. And then there's our lute string and it's red. So let's go to our lute string and we'll add that we want, we need our lute string class here. And we're gonna set our color to be white before we render it. What's weird is I still don't get this. Our 0, stuff isn't showing up at the top left of our screen. It shows a little bit lower. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Our particle system is doing the same thing. Set color to white. And then now we're rendering our white string. So I guess the question is, can we just get this animating? We are doing the current frame, but we are not updating it. So we need to update our lute string. Let's take a look at how I think we have to update our animation. So if we say our animation is gonna get updated with delta time, and we also have to pass in a looping value. So we'll go here and say looping is also true. And then we need to update our lute string in our map, at least for now. If it lives there, we still have to figure that out. But for right now, in our map update, we want to take our lute string and we want to update it with delta time. So let's see. Look at that. We've got a lute string animating. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So we just need to trigger that animation and faster once we actually play the strings. So I don't know why things at 0, still aren't at the very top left. It has to do something with our map, but I don't know why. I think our lute's strings are currently being rendered in the play state. Yes, they are. So I want to see if we did something silly when we tried to pull in our other lute strings. So I want to try to mimic what we did in here outside. So we're going to take our lute string instantiation and see if we can do it as a local play state variable. So boom, we get local lute string and we run it and we crash because a global lute string is a nil value. What is going on? So maybe our play state is declared before our lute string is. So in our dependencies, our lute string is here, but our play state is, our play state's defined up here. So maybe if we take our lute string and say, give us a lute string before we have a play state, then maybe we'll run. And it needs animation too. So let's take animation and put it up. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got a lute. Well, actually, that is still the lute string that is in the map. We'll get rid of that. So let's delete this one, and we'll go to every lute string we have and move it one by one. There's our update. So we'll go to our play state, and we'll put in the update function our lute string, and we'll have to have this lute string 1 with a parameter so that we can render the lute strings at different locations. But we also need to tweak the speed of it. So let's go back to our map and find our next lute string render, take it out, and we'll put it in our play state. So we'll go to our render, put in our lute string. I'll just put it in at the bottom here. Yeah, it's already tried. Okay, so now we should have the same lute string, except now it's in the play state, and it's in the lute toggle here. So now we've got the lute string looping, we need to speed it up. So let's give it a faster interval. So let's go to our class and we'll say that the interval is faster than 0.3. Let's try 0.1 and see. Nice. Yes. So yeah, maybe that looks pretty good. I kind of want to see a little bit faster. Let's see if 0.5 is too fast. Well, it's hard because I think if it wasn't looping, it would look like a pretty good speed because it looks like it's kind of plucked real quick. Yeah, too fast, too fast. Let's see. Something closer. That looks good. I like that. Okay, so let's see if we can modify our lute string class to also take in a lute string number. So lute string number, and then we'll render this at a lute string number times whatever the offset is for the lute string. So if we go to our play state and look at our lute strings, we have a lute string spacing constant. So we can put lute string number times whatever our spacing was, or not our x, but our y value. So that'll be our y, and then we'll give us an x of 0, and then we'll look at that. Okay. We need to pass this in as an actual parameter. So we'll go to our play state. We'll go to where we instantiate it, and we will give us the number of lute string that lute string is. And now, son of a bitch. Okay, lute string 1. We have to kind of say, we're not doing anything to say that we use this lute string. Well, okay, so what we'll do is we'll say self lute string, or string number. We'll say lute string number, and maybe we'll make this string number as well. String number throws me off because those are two different data types, but string number is official in my game. So we'll render a self dot string number times our lute string spacing, and we're this should be our first one. Son of a bitch. Lute string 11. Yeah, okay, yep. String number gets put into our self.string number, and then we render there. Nice. Okay. Still way off, but we should be able to give us more strings now, and they'll be at different positions. And then I think I can give Magnetonics a shout out now. Sweet. Okay, cool. Okay, so we need this to pluck. What I don't get is why it's so low. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's because it's 16 or whatever our lute string spacing is. We're multiplying it. Man, I always do that. E in chat. Okay. We want to, since the lute spacing is like 16 or something, we need to negate it if it's string 1 because we want it to be close to the top of the screen. So maybe we can say, well, oh shit, yeah. Maybe we render it, we just do an offset for the first string number spacing. So maybe we just subtract a string number spacing after we multiply it. I don't know if that's weird, but times a string spacing and minus a string spacing. And now it should be towards the top. Yes. Cool. And it doesn't get cut off. Okay, so now we can give us like a Y offset so that we can scale it appropriately. So let's give, let's go to our constants and we'll give ourselves a lute string Y offset or something. So let's find our other lute string. We'll call it lute string Y offset. Let's just say 10. And then we want our Y offset to be added here. Y lute string, Y offset. Okay, so let's see. Cool, much closer to our mock-up here. So let's take out our old mock-up renders. So we'll go to our play state, and we want to remove our lute strings. We don't want to remove any of this logic because we're going to be triggering. We want to trigger here. It's at our right here. So instead of rendering these rectangles, we're just going to be rendering whatever lute string we're talking about. So instead of lute string being like that, we should probably call them by the names they are. So let's say that the lute strings from top to bottom go from F1, D1, A1 to F2. Let me make sure that's the case. So the bottom one is the lowest, low, and then up. Okay, so P is up here, U is down here. So lute string 1, see, and then what do we want to do this? Do we want to call it, I think I'm going to call it lowest 1 is 1. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 going down. So I think lute string 1, well, we are string number, by the offset, yeah, the offset we're doing for the Y is based on a string number being at the top. So we might have to count downwards, which might confuse me, but let's do this. We'll just name it. So the top string is our F1. So the lute string F1, and then we have a D1, and that'll be lute string 2, and then we have a A1, which will be a lute string 3, and then we have a F2, which will be a 4. So now we have 4 lute strings, and we need to update all of these. So wherever we're doing our lute string update, oopsie, lute string update, now we need to update all our lute strings. So we have F1, we have D1, we have A1, and we have F2. Okay. So now we are updating all our lute strings. Now we need to render them all, and then we'll do the same thing. F1, D1, A1, and F2. And then I'm gonna just turn off all the other lute strings that we used to draw based on a rectangle, because now we're drawing the actual image of a lute string. So let's see if they show up. Nice, look at that. Oh, that's cool. So now we still get the sounds, but we don't get the colors. So let's at least get that back. So let's say that when we render, F1 goes with F1, D1 goes with D1, A1 goes with them. Where the heck? And then F2. Cool. So now we should, I'm hoping we should be changing the colors of them. We are not. Oh, because we set it to be white in the class here. So let's take that off. We'll go to our lute string class and we'll take off the color that we're overriding to be white. And then maybe it'll be nice. have F1 and F2 backwards. So we need to go F2. Why did we do this? How did we mess that up? F1, F2. So F1 is the low F. F2 is the high F. So yeah, we have these swapped. So F2 is there and F1 is down here. Now it should be right. Okay, so now we just need to take looping to be false and only change the animation once we trigger the string. So let's try to take the animation off and we will change. How do we do this? We would change our current frame to be 1. I don't know. Let's take looping off first and see where that leaves us. So we are not looping, but I think that will still mean it plays once. But let's see. Okay, we are just fucking looping, man. Okay, I thought our animation was if we were not looping. Oh, we don't have that. If we are not looping, return. How the heck do we have a not looping? I have this probably delete. If not looping, go ahead and return. Why doesn't that work? Or does it work? Okay, yeah. So it doesn't loop and it just played it once. So the difference is we need to pull a refresh on the animation anytime it's pressed. But also we don't want to set... It's almost like, you know, we don't want the animation to play right off the bat, but it does. So we might need to set our current frame to be the last frame before we do anything, and then, because look, it'll play once and then stop. So I think the first step... Oh, and you know what? Let me just make sure that my walking isn't messed up. Oh, lordy. See, look. Oh, no. Oh, no. Why? This is our weird looping issue. Oh, yeah. I think we might need to... Shit. Because, yeah, that's just totally jacked. Maybe we only do this if it's... Fuck. I don't know. I could think of a janky fix for it, but... I don't know why that screws up our animation for holding it. I think it's because... Well, no, because our walking animation should be set to looping. So this should never happen because we are looping. So if we look at our entity defs, yeah, we're looping on all of our main animations. Self.looping. Okay, yeah, for all of our walking and stuff, looping is true. So we should only do this if we're not self-looping. Are we pulling in? Oh, yeah, we are. We're pulling in the looping from the defined looping thing. So, shit. I don't know why that's wrong. That's why I wrote that probably should delete, because it was actually breaking things, but it's actually fixing other things. So how do we do this? Oh, yeah. I don't want to do the Band-Aid fix, you know? We're close. I think for now, I can leave that it starts by looping, and instead, oh, actually, shit. I think if we manually set our looping, actually, we are setting our looping to be false. Yeah. At least for our lute string. Yeah, we're saying right there, looping gets false. Okay, part of me wants to say, oh yeah, I don't want to have to do this. Let me just see if I can fix it. So we'll say if we're not looping and the self-played whatever and the texture is equal to lute string, then we're going to return. That should stop breaking the walking, but at least fix our... Okay, let me see again. We run it, we turn it on, we play once and then we stop. And then if we hold two directions, we're still walking correctly. So that does fix our... I mean, it doesn't fix our strings are playing right from the get-go, but we can just set our current frame to 7 upon the lute init or whatever. I don't like that we'd have to do that, but I'm just trying to get it to work here. I don't get paid for this, okay? Let's say current frame. Well, current frame would start... Oh yeah, let's say current frame is only in our dot animation. So maybe here we would say self.animation.current frame gets 7. And we say when we start it on the last frame so it doesn't animate. Let's see. It does animate. So our dot animation is rendering at our get current frame, our self animation. Okay. I don't know why that didn't work. We have a dot current frame. Okay. We have a refresh. Okay. Why does setting the current frame not change it? Self.animation.current frame gets 6. Okay, so 6 works, but 7 does not. Whatever. This is disgusting. I feel awful. This is so janky. Well, we've got the lute strings, so now we just have to worry about resetting the current frame and the times played to 0 upon pressing the string, and we have a function for that already. It's called refresh. So we should be able to just refresh our animation upon pressing the lute string, and then it should work, right? So let's say when we go to the pressing, we can say, this is where, I guess we could do it here. F1. So look, we're updating them regardless. Okay. But we want to update them after we modify their value over here. So we will modify their value. Shoot. Yeah, we'll just plop them down here, update there, and then we'll say if whatever was pressed, then we want to do string or lute string F1. We want to refresh that animation. So let's see if U works. Shit. Method refresh a nil value. Refresh. We need to say, dude, the dot 1 is a... Oh, it's not an animation. It is a... lute string object. So our lute string object has a dot animation. So we need to say dot animation colon refresh. So let's go to our play state, and we will say that the dot animation gets refreshed. Okay. Oh. Yes. That is sick. Okay, so A1, D1, and F2. Let's go, let's go. Whoa, that looks sick. That looks awesome. I'm loving it. Oh, it looks so good. I love it. I don't like that the lute state true is on there, but we can get rid of that. Okay, so there's a couple things I don't like. I don't like that our animation class is pulling the looping texture only if you're also a type of lute string. It's because our player animation gets busted when we incorporate the looping logic. But our animation is looping, so I don't get what the problem is in there. I don't like how we have to set our current frame to be equal to 6 when we instantiate the lute strings. But other than that, it works and it looks awesome. Oh, okay. We need to not allow the sound presses if we're not in lute state, so we will do that. So we will only do this if we are in lute state. And same with this. And same with this. Oh, no, not with that. So let's delete this and we'll do our... Oh, where's our lute state stuff? Where do we do our lute state stuff? Oh, only in render. So let's do... we'll only update our lute strings if we're in lute state. So let's first check for lute state. And then we will update this if our lute state is true. Including the update. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, let's see that. Okay. Pressing. Oh, shit. Now pressing. Wait. Oh, I must have. Okay, I must have hit the wrong button there. Let me see. Okay, yeah. I'm pressing the lute buttons. Now I toggle lute state. Oh, see, and then. So we need to flush. We need to flush the current frame on lute state being toggled. So we can run a refresh. Well, the refresh will... Yeah, we don't want to toggle a refresh. We want to toggle a current frame getting 6 if we toggle lute state. So if lute state is true, right here we would want to set each string's dot animation dot current frame to be equal to 6. And then we can do that for everything. D1, A1, and F2. So now when we hit a button and then toggle it, oh shit, we still see it. Okay, we want maybe current frame to get 1. But does that... Let's see. Damn it! It's close, it's close. It is looking awesome when it works, but like right now I'm kind of getting the... See, it shouldn't do that. Yeah, it shouldn't do that. Like the musician in me wants more than 4 strings, but the game designer in me knows that 4 frets and 4 strings is already a lot to keep track of. So I think 4 strings and 4 frets is probably good. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm trying to... Maybe we set... Because it's like any time we set the current frame to 1... Oh, maybe we need to set the times played. Let's try setting the times played to 1, because if the times played is set to 1, then it won't update, I believe. But let's see. It did look like it messed up one of the strings. Let me see. Oh, time with an S, times played. Okay, so let's do this. Times played. There's like a lot of jankness going on. But let's see. So I'm gonna press them and then toggle them on. Yeah, fuck. Because they get stuck until you play them and then they get unstuck. So we basically need to make sure we don't update. Yeah, what's weird is we're only updating them if we're in lute state. So they shouldn't be moving unless they're in lute state. So why does that happen? Because lute state is only on once I toggle them. And then they get updated, so that's just strange to me. So if lute state, we're gonna refresh them only if they've been pressed. So what if we oh yeah, because if we refresh them and they'll play, but we want to set their... We're only refreshing them, yeah, if we press a key. So why does updating them... Yeah, part of me thinks we were on the right track with that reset, but with the current frame reset, but if lute state, okay, if L is pressed and we were not lute state, that's where we want to add it. We want to add the refresh here, so, or not the refresh, we want to add the current frame. So we'll go into the animation, we'll set the current frame equal to the second to last frame, which if we did the last frame, it triggers another playing. Let's try that. So I'm gonna press them and then toggle them on. Shit, they're still doing it. They still do it. Let's try to reset it to frame 7. I don't know. They still do it. Why are they changing their freaking frame? Why are they changing? They're not even updating. So why? You know what? Let's try updating them. See, I don't like the fact that we would update them outside of the lute state, but that would fix this issue. Because now if we press it and then toggle it on, they're not screwed up. And if we swap off while they're on, it doesn't mess up. So something's going on where if we update this in lute state, this is where it is setting the current frame. It must be where we're setting the current frame to be the incorrect thing. And in the update, all we do is update the animation. I don't know why we can't fix this. Like we should be able to just say, if we were pressed, then by the time we go to update, we just change our current frame to be, so L was pressed, and if not lute state. Yeah, so this is actually right here, man. Because if we're not lute state and L was pressed, then we become lute state and then change our current frame. So let's see that. Son of a bitch, man. Let me see if we change these to other frames, does it even change? It did change. So why can we... What the heck? That is so jacked, man. Why? Okay. If we refresh the animations here, they will animate anytime we load them, which is the incorrect thing. So I'm going to try to put that just to prove that my assumption's correct, that if we do the refresh right here, it will refresh the whole animation for this string F1. That should be this top one. So I'll do that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So refresh animation is not working. Hey, you're good, dude. Look at how close we are. We've got our strings here. So it's looking, I love how it looks. Like if we strum it like that, it looks pretty cool. The only issue is that when we don't play nice and we like hit the lute button and then toggle on the lute, it kind of glitches out there a bit. Like that. They just get frozen. Which I'm very confused about. I'm very confused about. Maybe we have to do this. No. Because if we're lute state... Oh. Well, no, because that's when we're pressing L. Okay. So yeah, that's still... I don't know why. I guess we could leave out... We can put the updates in the loop, in the main update loop. I don't like doing that, though. Because then it's running updates on those strings regardless of if the strings are even on screen. It does fix our problem. Let's see. Our update is literally just updating the animation. We shouldn't have to do that every frame if the lute strings aren't on screen. So if we set our current frame, oh, the init, oh no, this is just the init, okay. What the fuck? So what if we have our current frame set to 6, but once we press it, oh, we're not, dude, this is so confusing to me because we assign our current frame to be 6, so it should be done moving by the time it's knitted, so it doesn't move when we start. But then in our play state here, we're saying, you know, we init it, and then only if we're in a lute state do we update each string. Oh no, yeah, we moved it out because it used to be right here. So yeah, they hold some memory, like pressing U and O and P and then L shouldn't do anything. Why do they? And it only happens sometimes. What the heck? I can't even reliably get it to mess up. Okay. Let me try one more time. Let me see. Oh. It's messing up on the first look, but without even pressing anything, it messes up. Okay. So let's try to put our current frame to be 7 and see if that fixes anything. Oh, fuck. Current frame 1. Why? So can we say, you know what, our times played is already equal to 1? And set our current frame equal to 1. So now we shouldn't update, right? Well, we do. If we look at our animation class, we have a times played is 0, times played is 0. If we're not looping and our times played is greater than 0, let's say if our times played is greater, oh yeah, because 1 would be greater than 0, so we're breaking out of the animation. We are not updating our current frame if our times played is greater than 0. So let's set our current frame equal to 7 and times, oh gosh, times played equal to 0. Let's see. Jacked. 6. Shit, man. So if we give it a second and then load our lute string, it still does the weird shit. And if we do a current frame of a weird number, we get a different weird thing. So why does 7 not load the last frame and then set... What the heck, man? We're so close. See, it shouldn't remember that we pressed it like that. It makes sense. Yeah, okay. So maybe we do just update them outside the animation update because we want them to finish swirling or vibrating. So as much as it is weird to update them outside of the lute state, it does make sense for that case. So if we go to our play state and we go to our lute string update, where are we? Yeah, we'll take this out of the lute state because they need to finish swirling. So let's see. We toggle it. Son of a bitch. We still, I swore we had this fixed. Okay, well, it looks like it's, if we load it as soon as we play then it plays. But if we wait to load it until after they've stopped, then they're fine. Okay. Let's take a look at when we're updating it and see if we have any weird thing. Oh, we took out the current frame. So we'll say the current frame gets set to the last frame, and let's see if that fixes it. It does not. Why? Yo, what the? Oh, it's animation dot current frame. Okay, that looks like it's it. And if we do 7, something weird is in the yeah, well, for some reason if we give it the last frame, it loops before it changes its times played to be incremented, so it doesn't actually fix it. Oh shit, but then 6 doesn't fix it either. I want to say that we can say times played gets 1 here. Because by the time we press it, it refreshes this times played. So we should not see it update, which... Oh, lordy. I mean, no one's going to be... Damn it. I hate that. I'm like, well, no one's going to toggle lute the very first frame the game comes on, but... I would rather this just be fixed. I don't get why setting the current frame... Oh, dot... Well, let's see. Animation dot times played. Let's see. That's wrong. But it could be the current frame. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's try to pull it up faster. Okay. That seems to have done it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So if we play them and toggle it off and then turn it back on, they've finished out because we're updating it outside of the lute state. So we should be able to walk around, and then we've got to do some stuff like we've got to make it so that if you toggle lute state, we're missing our background color, which we should get back, but we should also not be able to walk around. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should be able to walk around and play lute, because then we can kind of... Let's see if we can get our background color back. I didn't see where we deleted it. It's in our render. It's in our lute state render, right? Yeah, set background. Oh, yes, we want this on. Okay. That should be it. So now when we toggle lute, we've got a little bit darker so we can see it better. And it exists outside of the map transition, so you can play it and walk. I do think it would be really cute if you could, like, be holding your lute and walking through the game playing music. So maybe we won't pause the update if you're playing lute. It just means that whenever we have the puzzles that you're supposed to play the sheet music for to unlock the next biome or whatever, it has to be in a safe area, because we're not going to be navigating away from enemies while playing the lute, you know? That's just too much. But I really like that. That is super cool. It's only a little bit jank, but I'm pretty happy with it. I do want to pull up, like I do want to maybe sketch out an idea for the tab. So like if we do, let's just give us a 160 by 160. I don't want numbers for the tabs. So I'm thinking if we have, for example, a straight line of 2 pixel thickness as our strings. This is like the idea for the tab. So like here's the strings. And then I'm thinking for the sheet music and stuff, it'll be like, I want symbols for the tomes you find, right? For playing. So I'm kind of thinking like a circle might be an open string strum. So maybe a circle that is black will be the open string strum. Something like that. So like this will be sliding across the screen. So maybe we do this in a new layer. New layer. And this will be called open. Cool. So the idea is we'll have like a bar of timing, right? And you're supposed to hit the notes when they hit inside the bar to get the correct timing. So we might have, you know, the circle, the open note will come in like this, and once it gets here, that's when you strum it for the open note. So if that's the open note, then we need also a first string. And I was thinking, like, I want them to be kind of visually understandable. Like, instead of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, I kind of was thinking something like an edge system. I don't know how to say it, but like if either a bar like that is one, or I was thinking like, because I'm trying to think of what would make it look interesting on a tablet, right? Like once you find all the shapes on a tablet, if it's made up of different shapes that are not so simple like a straight line, but more a diagonal line than a straight line, then we could potentially get some different shapes. So for 2, I was thinking like a carrot or something. So it's like you can kind of like, that's first fret, that's second fret, because there's 1 line and then 2 lines. So it's kind of easy to remember and recognize, so that it maps to your, you know, first, second, third, fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the keyboard. So I was thinking maybe 3 is either an E or like something with 3 lines, right? E is too recognizable, but 3 just looks like 3, so this might be too straightforward, but yeah, let's see what else 3 could be. Maybe 3 is a line here, a line here. So it could look like an H, but that just looks like an H. So if we have like a weird, I don't know, I don't want it to go too weird. We could do just a straight up triangle, because it's got like three sides. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 maybe is like a diamond or something. It'd have to be noticeably a diamond and not a circle, or a square. But I don't know. The triangle makes better sense to me than a square, or like it looks more interesting than a square. A square is a little too plain. So maybe we can make like a, I don't know, that's too simple for a 4. But it's like we're coming up with our own notation, right? So it's like the first fret, second fret, third fret, and then fourth fret is a maybe a diagonal diamond, like a rhombus. It just looks too much like a circle, right? That might get confusing. But maybe the circle is open, as in an open string. So maybe, yeah, maybe we do have, I kind of like that idea. So our, oh God, I did these on the same layer. So shit. Let's erase. What did I do? What did I do? Oh lordy, what did I do? Okay, we want to copy our triangle and put it on the new layer. So we will delete it from this layer. We'll plop it on our 3rd fret layer. Cool. And then we'll make a new layer and we'll delete that from that layer. We'll call it 4th and we'll make a rhombus like this. And we will fill these in. At least the ones that can be filled in. So rhombus on 4. See, it looks too much like a circle to me. Oh, yeah, so we can only fill in. I kind of like, that's starting to look good. I just don't like the 4th. So like, what's a shape we can do for the 4th that kind of tracks with this? Like 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th line, maybe a, I don't know. Like, I like that these kind of build off one another. Like there's that, and then we add the down, and then we add the bottom. So maybe we add one more line, but it would look like an arrow if we just add a line. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks weird. But I kind of like that it looks different. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just too much different. Like maybe if there's, maybe it's a triangle with a hat. I kind of like that. As long as it's not too big, right? Like, because then it still builds off the previous shape. But it is not, yeah. I mean, I think I like that. So we've got open string, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. And that's just rough drawing of it, of course. But that would mean that when we have the tablature and stuff, we can say, yeah, it would look different. Or let me see. I think I like that, though. I think I like that. Once we make the triangle prettier, the 4th triangle prettier, then I think it'll be cool. Because I'm trying to think about, like, and we might need a notation for the bass notes, because the first 4 notes you play are like the repeating bass notes, which are all open strings. So maybe there's a secondary notation of the bass notes that are combined with the frets, so that you know which string. Oh no, because I don't want to mix up the frets and the strings. So maybe we can maybe flip all these upside down for, well, I don't know. We'll probably have to figure out something totally different for that. Okay, but I think this is a good start. I'll think about a potential new way to reference the string notation for the bass notes, because the idea is you get a tome, and the tome will have the sheet music. So it might look like oh, it's first fret, then it's third fret, then it's fourth fret, just as an idea of like what the sheet music might look like. Then you hit 2 open strings, you know, because I don't want the numbers. It'll just look too boring. But something like this, if the sheet music looks something like this, it would look more interesting, right? So, and then if we had, I like this, because then when you get the tome, you would open it up and you'd look at this, and then you might be like, what is that? But if you've unlocked the lute, whenever you press 1, 2, 3, 4, these shapes will load right here, as if, like, if you hold the first fret, for example, the line slash will be on each one of these lines, because you're kind of holding the fret for whatever thing you strum. So when you get the tome, it will look like this, and you might recognize these notes from your lute, and then you have to kind of solve the riddle and go play this in the certain biome that needs to be calmed, and then it'll kind of soothe the biome a bit, and then you can enter it and then cleanse it. That's the kind of idea. I like this idea. We just have to figure out a way to have a separate notation for the first 4 bass notes. So maybe we do the same thing, but with so like if it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 counting up like that, then maybe the bass notes are a circle to indicate the string. So like it's a string, but it is the first string. So the first string has 1 slash through it. So that's an open noted first string for the bass notes. And then if we have three others, there's a second one. Here's a third one. And a fourth one. Okay, so then maybe, you know, we do the same thing where we draw, it'll be the shape inside here, so this one might get a little muddy, but it might look something like this. And then, oh, this would be, shoot. Yeah, so this one would be just the triangle, so it'd go like this, and like this, and then this one would go to be the third open string, so it has the bottom, something like that, and then this one has the bottom as well as the top hat. Yeah, and then if I draw it cleaner than that, it might be more readable, but that's I kind of like that for, because I'm also thinking we fill them in so that's just a little more readable. And then we don't have any of that weird stuff there. The ones that get muddy are these ones. So we'd have to make sure, we'd probably make the circle smaller so that you could see the triangle around it. Or we shift it down a bit. So that, because this doesn't look like a circle and a triangle, it looks like just a muddy whatever the fuck. So maybe we shrink it, maybe, I don't know. Maybe we shrink it to combine it so it's like it's a small circle. And then the slash or whatever is bigger. I don't know. Because it's going to be harder to see. as the shapes go on. So maybe there's just like a, I don't know, maybe they're stacked like this instead, like vertically. So that you can read the circle and the number. It kind of looks like a man or like a stick figure. But it could be interesting like that. Yeah, I'll have to pick a resolution for these things and then try to make the actual versions, because just kind of mocking them up doesn't do them justice because they're all off. But something like this, where these are the frets and these are the strings, and you'll only get one set of the bass notes. So that'll be the first 4 notes you play, and then those loop, and then you play the melody, which are the rest of the frets and or open strings. And we'd have to have a little menu for you to pick which tone you're trying to play, because that loads the sheet music for you to play the timing correctly. So I think that's a good start. I'm gonna save this. Okay, so I've got this exported, so let's get a git commit in here. Okay, let's make sure we didn't change anything radically different. We added a string offset so we can render our class of lute string. We require our lute string into our dependencies. We give ourselves a G texture and a G frame of our lute string. We make 4 instances of our lute string object, and we refresh the animation upon the sound being played for that in the lute state. And then we update each of those lute strings. And then we render our lute strings instead of rendering a rectangle. And I didn't see... Oh, a git diff doesn't show the things that weren't added. So I can't show the git diff for the files we added. I think there's like a git diff cached or something we can do. No? Okay, well, we'll git add everything. And let's see if we do the git diff cached now. Does it show our lute string? It does. Okay, so now that it's added, it knows that we've got a lute string class. So we give it the frames, we give it the texture, we give it the interval, we set its frame, we set its rendering. Let me see if we do a git diff here. Yeah, we don't see it. Okay, so yeah, git diff cached is what we need to see the new file that we added. So that's cool. We will git add everything. Oh, we did. Then we'll git commit with a message saying added strumming animation to lute strings. Sweet. What did we do? What did we do? Oh no. Oh no. We've messed up our commit. We'll take that off. Okay. Then we'll get push. And then that should be okay. Okay. Added strumming animation to lute strings. Cool. We got it. Yeah. Sweet. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Hey, thanks for hanging, guys. We'll see if anyone's rating or if anyone is live programming. Fox Hollow is, as long as he's programming. Let's see. Oh, he's offline. Okay, let's see. Your end is just chatting. Whitechapel. Yeah, Katron, thanks for hanging, dude. Have a good night. I'll raid out to the Whitechapel because he's got some crazy pixel art, like super amazing pixel art. So we'll at least raid out. I hope you guys have a good night. I'll be back tomorrow. We might start just trying to flesh out Lute Hero, like with the tab and everything. So we might start doing that. That could be interesting. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.